Okay. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel again. So today we're going to be learning on how to cut a half circle flare, a full circle flare, and a double full circle flare, also known as the 180 degrees flare, the 360 degrees flare, and the 720 degrees flare. So we're going to start now. We're going to start with the half circle, also known as the 180 degrees flare. So, to start with the half circle, you have to divide your fabric into two, like this. Or you can also divide it into two this way, and also into a triangle. After dividing into two, you also now make a triangular um, division. They are all the same. I prefer to just divide it into two this way and just do my calculations. So when you divide it into two, you calculate your waist divided by 3.14. So I'm using a waist of 30 inches for my reference through for all my teachings today. I'm using a 30-inch waist. So when I did my calculations for 30 divided by 3.14, I got 9.5. So I would I would mark. So it is the 9.5 that I would mark for the whole length, the circumference of our circle. That is what I'm going to mark for the circumference of the circle, round the circle. So let's go. So you can see how I marked it round. I took the same measurement round the circle, and it gave me this. So I'm going to be cutting it now. Then we can now take our measurement. As you can see, what it gave me is 16. That's 32. What it means is that it gave me, I'm using a waist of 30 inches. So that is 15, and plus a zip allowance of 1 inch. So that's making 16. So I now cut the length of my flare. I'm using 8 inches for a reference as the length of my flare this time. So I measure round again. Okay, so we cut. Of course, the 8 inches I'm using is just for a reference length. You can always make it longer or shorter, depends on you. So this is what we got for our half circle. You can see that the flare is not so full. It's just moderate. Most people that the plus size, this kind of circle is good for plus size people. It's also good for wrap dresses so that it doesn't look so full at the bottom. So this is our half circle. We'll keep it aside. So now we'll be going for the full circle. That is the 360 degrees circle. This time we'll be folding our fabric into four this way. Okay? So we'll be folding our fabric into four this way. Like so. Okay, so this is okay. So now we have folded our fabric into four. Remember, for the half circle, that's 180 degrees. We folded our fabric into two, or a triangular shape. But this time we are folding into four, a four squared shape. So now we will be dividing our waist this time by 6.28. That is double of 3.14. That's 6.28. So when I divided 30 by 6.28, I got 4.77 something. So I'm using 4.8. So I'm just going to be approximating on my tape. I'm marking round like we did for the half circle. Then we're going to be cutting. I don't know, I'm sure you can all see the marks. Okay, so this is how it looks like right now. So we're going to be cutting like so. So let us take our measurements. So you can see 7.5 was our 7.5, as in the waist that we got was, as in the waist we're targeting is 7.5. That's 30, but we got 8. That is 7.5 times 4 is 30 inches. You know, because we folded this into 4, so we're going to multiply by 4. So 7.5 times 4 is 30 inches, but we got 8 here. That's 8 times 4. That's 32 inches. That's the remaining 1 inch. The remaining 2 inches are for zip allowance. So let us continue. So basically, we found out that there's always an excess, even after doing your calculations right. There's always an excess that allows for zip allowance. So now we're going to be using length of 10 inches for, or we could still use the same number of inches so that we don't make a mess. So we can compare and see how they all look like. So we're going to be using 8 inches for the same 8 inches for the length of the peplum. So we'll be marking round like so. Don't forget that we run a fashion academy for 6 months. I believe that what a fashion designer needs to learn, what the basic things that a fashion designer needs, to start the business could be learned within 6 months. But of course, we still run another internship of 6 months, making a full year for our courses, for our fashion school. So basically, there is no how after 1 year with us, you are ready to launch your own fashion business. So we're going to be cutting now. Now we're going to cut the middle, the center of one of the foldings, like so. So this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. You can see that the peplum is fuller than the half circle. You can see that this full circle peplum is fuller than the half circle. It's ideal for peplum tops. Peplum tops are it's ideal for peplum tops, and even fuller versions of this too. Ideal for peplum tops. You can see the difference between the half circle and the full circle. There's a big difference. So we're going to be keeping this aside and continue. So now we want to do the 720 degrees circle. Now for this 720, it's just a combination, as in it's just double of, we call it 720 because it's double of a full circle. So we're going to be dividing half of the person's waist by 6.28. Remember that for the full circle we divided by 6.28. We divided the whole waist by 6.28. That means I used the waist of 30 inches and I divided it by 6.28. But for this 720 circle now, well, I'm going to be using half of the person's waist. That means I'm using 30 inches as my reference, 30 inches waist as my reference point. So I'm going to dividing the 30 inches into two to get 15 inches. So we're going to dividing this 15, is this 15 inches now that we're going to be dividing by 6.28. Unlike the 360 circle that we're dividing the whole waist by 6.28, this time we're going to be dividing half of the person's waist by 6.28. I hope it's understood. So we're going to be doing it now. Of course, you'll be folding your fabric into 4 as usual, as we did for the full circle. Remember, the half circle fold into 2 and divide by 3.14. For the 360 circle or the full circle, you fold into 4 and divide by 6.28. Divide the waist by 6.28. But this time now, we're going to be dividing half of the waist by 6.28. So let's do this. So 15 divided by 6.28, I got 2.3888. So I got 2.39, which I'm approximating to 2.4. So here's where I'm going to be using just an inch before the half inch mark, as in an inch before the 2.5 mark. That's what I'm marking around.
Excuse me.
Mark it round like so. Okay, so we cut like so. You can see, basically, the smaller the circumference, the fuller the flare. So we're going to also still be using the 8 inches. So now this is just half of the waist. Remember, this is just the first half of the waist. That we're doing this for. So we're going to be cutting like so. Now we cut open one of the sides. So this is what it looks like. It's fuller. It's way fuller. It looks like gathers, and this is for half of the person's waist. So let's take it that is for the front side of the waist, the front part of the waist. So this is what I usually do. So I usually, since I'm taking that the part I cut was the first part of the waist, that's the front part of the waist. So now I want to cut the back part of the waist. But and we all know that the back always needs zip allowance. So we have to add it. So I'm cutting. This is the zip allowance. This is the zip allowance. Of course, it's not both sides that will have zip allowance. I'm going to cut off the allowance from one of the sides. But this is just easier for me to put the zip allowance this way. So one side of the peplum at the back will carry zip allowance while the other side would not. So this is how it is. So so you can see that it's fuller. It's going to be way fuller. It's fuller than any of the circles. So here we go. These are our 3 circles. Okay, so you can see I joined the two pieces, that's the front and the back pieces of the 720 flare together, so you can see how it looks like. So this is the 720 circle, 720 flare, this is the 360 flare, and this is the 180 flare. You can see the difference between the three of them. Thanks for watching, and would love to hear your questions if you have any in the comment section. Bye.